This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into the Fast Break for our second video. Officially back. I said back a lot last video, so I'm going to keep doing it so that Dave gets triggered a little bit.
Back to back.
Welcome back into the Fast Break. This is our second total ranking video. Today we're doing shooting guards, 30 through 1, obviously starting lineups. Before we get into that, I'm here. My name is Jake Neverman. I'm here with my co-host, Ricky Widmer.
We didn't do laundry. We're wearing the same clothes as we wore on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, we are. I was like... and Dave Oster.
Yep, still here.
Opposite sides again. You'll get used to it.
I'll get used to it eventually.
Left is Dave,
here.
right is me. Raise your right hand. Yeah, that's me. That's what I thought. Okay, right is me, left is Dave.
Ricky's here, Dave's here. Understood. It's because the camera is reverse.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Whatever that means. We've gotten derailed already. Welcome back into the Fast Break. Today we're doing, like I said, shooting guard rankings 1 through 30 in the starting lineups. Before we get into that, down below in the description, please check out the Patreon for you can be watching this actually recording live, like Oscar was earlier in our point guard ranking. You'll see us reference him. He was in the comments section. And also, down below, check out the Discord. Discord's free, like we've said previously. Any sport, even if you're not into basketball. Well, I don't know why you clicked, but if you're not into basketball, if you're into football, if you're into soccer, if you're into wrestling, whatever, we got Discord channels down below. We got great Patreon and just Discord members down there. Conversation is usually flowing in the NBA season. Hopefully, we're heating up again. We're getting back to prime MVP here, MVP. But yeah, I don't think I forgot anything. I will say, disclaimer, I'm going to do this in every first video. Disclaimer, these starting lineups were done as predictions of the starting lineups on night one. You will not see Kristaps Porzingis. You will not see Mitchell Robinson. You'll see Al Horford. You'll see Julius Randle in there in place of them. This is our best shot. I understand if you disagree, all right, with somebody that's in a starting lineup. I get that. Nobody can read the coaches perfectly. Nobody could be a Nostradamus. We went for as accurate as possible and kind of what we would do and what we think they're going to do. So
we did not use real GM.
That's awful. They're awful. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Real GM, they're making a comeback.
Please keep that. I get it. If you want to outrage at us and call us idiots for having somebody in some position, it's not really too much. There's going to be one in this guard ranking when we get to near the top that people are going to be like, that guy's not a shooting guard. But really, honestly, the NBA at this point is positionless basketball, so just get used to it and get over it. All right. If you want to be involved with us, like we said, the Discord draft content will be starting later in the year as college season comes. We want to be interactive with you guys. We want to get mail. I said mail rooms. We want to get mail bags done for draft content.
We'll get text messages. Give out your number, Jake.
Yeah. You can text me right here. We want to get all that. We want to be interactive.
We have the same phone case.
Do we? Yeah, look at us. Gosh, that's weird. We want to be interactive. We want to get in tune with you guys. But before we derail ourselves even more, let's get into the 30 to 21 of the shooting guard rankings. So starting at 30, we have from the Sacramento Kings, Keon Ellis. At number 29, we have from the Denver Nuggets, Christian Brown. Number 28, we have from the Detroit Pistons, Jaden Ivey. At number 27, from the Los Angeles Clippers, we have Terrence, Mr. Untouchable Man. Number 26, from the Washington Wizards, we have Jordan Poole. 25 from the Utah Jazz, we have Colin Sexton. 24 from the Milwaukee Bucks, which is interesting to say, is Gary Trent Jr. Number 23 from the Atlanta Hawks, Bogdan Bogdanovic. Number 22 from the Golden State Warriors, Pods. I'm just going to call him Pods. Let's see. Was it Podziemski? I don't even know how to say it. Podziemski, there you go. And at number 21 from the Portland Trail Blazers, we have Shaedon Sharpe. So as per usual, Dave, I saw you making some faces on the rankings.
A lot of reactions here.
Yeah, go with your gut. What's the first one you want to touch on?
I mean, I think we could all just appreciate the fact that Jaden Ivey is right near the bottom. I do think that might be something that we see this year. You know, him not being a starting shooting guard very short into the year. I think he's probably at a high risk. Like we all the focus, I feel like in the offseason, the conversations have been around the Nuggets and how do you replace KCP with Christian Brown, and like, oh well, maybe somebody else will step up. Maybe they can do this. Maybe they can do that. I feel like Jaden Ivey somehow is just fallen under the cracks by the liberty of being a Detroit Piston, where he doesn't get the coverage. But that team has overhauled their lineup, as you heard me talk about in their previous video. And I almost.
Oh my gosh, Dave is starting a villain arc on the Detroit Pistons on episode 2.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
He did it on 11 through 30. If you didn't check out the 11 through 20 on the point guard list, Dave had a rant on the Pistons already. Sorry, continue.
I think that he's kind of the guy in danger because I do think Christian Braun is a solid fit in that lineup. Like, yeah, he needs to step up his game, sure, but he fits the lineup from like a what do we need out of this guy. Keon Ellis, same thing. Like, you can't put anyone else in that starting lineup for the Kings because they need defense. If you're going to be having anyone between De'Aaron Fox and DeMar DeRozan, you need defense. Keon Ellis, excellent defender. I don't know if his shot will be as excellent as it was to end last season, even on low volume, but he was just a fantastic shooter for them when they needed it. So I think Jaden Ivey kind of is the guy who's like, I'm looking at it going like, yeah, he's really good with the ball in his hands, and he got better. But is that the guy you want next to Cade Cunningham? Got better. Is he the guy you want next to Cade Cunningham? And I don't believe that's the answer. I still think he is an odd shaped block in that lineup that they need to either transition to a bench role, but then they have Marcus Sasser, who really good bench point guard already. So I'm not quite sure what they're going to do, but I do think that like he's a high volume, high usage. He's like worse Russell Westbrook as far as like what you get out of him. And that's sort of my concern.
Ricky, any thoughts?
I mean, looking at these lower ones, I mean, Jaden Ivey, is he good? No. That's why for me, let's see. I'm looking at the combined. For me, I had him. I might have had him too high. I had 3 people below him. The guy I think that's really high in this section, and maybe I'm being foolish here. How is Jordan Poole not the worst shooting guard in the league? This guy is garbage. This is not, we're not talking Warriors Jordan Poole. We're talking Wizards Jordan Poole where players go to die.
I just want to, for Ricky, you had him last, right?
Yeah, dead last.
Dave and I both had him 19, so Dave, you can take. I just want to add context.
Yeah, no, Jordan Poole is capable of being that guy. That's the point, is he is a good player.
But he's not.
He just had a year on the Washington Wizards, which I'm pretty sure everybody understands what's going on in Washington. Secondly, he did start the year horrendously. He finished the year very well, though. Like, if you slice up the season into quarters, again, Wizards team playing for literally nothing. Somehow they did get through to him. And like, that's when we saw the best out of Denny Avdia. That's when we saw the best out of Jordan Poole. I think both those guys thrived to end the season. And we saw Jordan put up almost, I want to say shooting splits weren't exactly as good as they were on Golden State, but that stretch at the end was pretty much what you should expect out of Jordan Poole.
And I had to Google it. He's still on the Wizard, so
he is indeed still a Wizard.
Not 19. I wouldn't have him in the top 20. That's for sure. Maybe 30's a little me being a hater, but I would definitely not have him in the top 20.
He's a capable scoring guard, and he should, in my mind, like, I see him the same way, and I don't want to spoil, but like, I see him in a similar vein to guys who have high volume roles, like a Jalen Green, like a Tyler Hero, in that same grouping of like, even Anthony Simons. Like, this is a guy who you bring out for offense. I think he can do a lot of things offensively. I think defense, yeah, you're not going to get much, but you're not getting much out of any of those guys. That's literally, this is the role where everybody can just get away with not playing defense. Like, that's just, we all are okay with that, right, guys?
Whenever I hear you say he's capable, I think, yeah, and I'm capable of hitting a $50,000 parlay, but guess what? I ain't. Yeah, exactly. He's capable, but he won't.
Would you like to jump in here, Jake?
Yeah, I think Jordan Poole. First of all, I just want to lay it out there. I still blame Draymond Green. Still lost everything in Golden State, and
so should we just start calling Jordan Poole Tim Anderson? He got his talent punched out of him.
No, that's not reference. That's a great reference, but I don't think that's what happened. I think the Wizards, again, I think context is key. I think context to everything in their season. I think when Keefe became their coach, they kind of got more of an identity and actual played basketball, because Unseld had absolutely no idea what he was doing. He is as bad as Steven Silas was in Houston. Like, they both had young players that they needed to mold, and it's my same problem with Chauncey. At least Chauncey gets the mental side of it. These two guys, they did not know what to do, and I don't think I think silent. Like some guys, they say it in football a lot, Ricky. Like some people are meant to be coordinators.
Yep.
Some people are meant to be assistant coaches.
Yep.
Steven Silas is an assistant coach, like because he is very good on the player to player side, right? But the player to X's and O side is where I see a lot lack. But when Keefe came in, they kind of gained a little bit of an identity, and Jordan Poole got better as the year went on. Now, I'm not here saying that Jordan Poole is phenomenal or like a top shooting guard in the league or even a top guard in the league. I think that he is still very good, but I don't think he's ever going to reach the level that he did in Golden State again. I think what he did in Golden State in that year and a half, 2 years, whatever you want to call it, was fantastic. He was well above expectations, right? But I think there are other guys in this list. I think there are a clear bottom two. I think Braun and Ellis are so far below everybody else in this list, which again isn't really a knock. But when you look at the bottom five, right? Jordan Poole, Terrence Mann, Jaden Ivey, Christian Braun, and Keon Ellis. I think the Mann to Ellis, the bottom four, there is such a drop off from where Jordan Poole is in our rankings, where they all do stuff. Like Ellis and Mann, elite defensively, right? Braun, I don't know yet, right? I don't know exactly what he's going to be in the lineup. Jaden Ivey, I don't think anybody knows. I think a lot of Jaden Ivey's problems stem from the fact that, like you kind of alluded to in the previous video, Dave, is that Cade Cunningham's uncertainty in the backcourt and what his best position is kind of forcing Ivey just to kind of do whatever out there, right? And not because Ivey is a guy who can seriously get downhill and can finish at the rim, right? His shooting comes and goes. His defense comes and goes. His rebounding comes and goes. But his ability to get downhill and attack the rim is not questioned. That's what he's best at. But would Jaden Ivey be best off the bench? Probably. I think that's probably his best role. I said that coming in when he was in the draft, and I still stand by it. I think I'll check after this exactly where I had him, but I think one of the interesting names is Colin Sexton, right? He's a player that's had a lot of talent, right? Ricky, I'll throw this to you. We saw him a lot in his Cleveland days and a little bit in his Utah days. I think Utah kind of fell off a cliff last year, towards like a quarter of the way, halfway through the season. What's your outlook on Colin Sexton, and do you think he can reach the heights again that he did in Cleveland previously?
I'm going to ask you guys, because I haven't looked. Where did you guys personally have Sexton on your rankings?
Dave had him 22 and I had him 24.
Okay, so we're in the same range because I had him 22. Maybe it's me thinking because he's on the Jazz and I don't think the Jazz are going to be like that great. I just look at it and go, he's a dude. Like he is what he is, he's a guard that you can throw out there in the starting two. I'll be honest, sometimes I liked it better when they were running him with the second unit and just letting him have the show. He's one of those that falls into a weird ground of me of it's kind of like the debate we have with Kobe White. Is he better with the ball in his hands or not in his hands? And if he's the starting two, how often is he going to have that ball in his hands?
Yeah, and I mean, the depth of young guys who need minutes and experience on Utah is kind of crazy. So we've all been screaming at them to kind of filter through that roster and make some trades, move some guys out of there who have value around the league. And I think Colin Sexton's one of those guys, not on a terrible contract. Offensively, he will give you something. Defensively, he is not good. He's an undersized shooting guard, though. That's literally you are physically limited because, unfortunately, you are a shorter guard. And he got that whole defense. I did love that. I forget which video I was watching. They brought up did this man just get a defensive reputation for losing the game 3v5? Because he hustled a bunch in that game.
He did.
Yep. Great for him. But I don't know that he's not bad. But again, I think a lot of these guys where they're specialists, defensively or whatever, Sexton's just a bucket. He is a good, efficient scorer. But he's a liability because he's not a two-way player. And I think that goes for a lot of these guys in this list. A lot of these guys, especially in the next section too. There's no overlap.
Especially in the next session.
Yeah.
I just need to point it to, and Ricky, I'm sure you knew this one was coming when I was looking at your list.
Yeah, I totally. I'm prepared for it.
Okay, you're prepared for this. So just for reference, Dave has pods at 24. I have pods at 27. Ricky has pods at 10. So Ricky, lay out the case.
There really is no case besides the fact as I up. I thought Pods had a better. Yet again, I was doing this all on vibes. I wasn't looking at stats. I wasn't looking. I did. I already preemptively. I was doing it off of vibes. I didn't look at stats. Like, what would I rather have? And I was like, you know what? Pods. I liked him in college. I liked him in Illinois. I like what he brings. And then like I looked at his stats. I'm like, yeah, I could have him a little bit lower, probably. So yeah, that was a complete faux pas on me. But it doesn't change my love for Pods. It's a biasy
But if you thought
ranking.
his impact was that far beyond his numbers, I mean, that does say something. Like, you watched Warriors games.
He does play on the best. He does play on probably not the best team win-wise, but best coach, best shooting guard, like
best point guard.
Point guard. That's he shoots. That's what I'm saying. Point guard.
Can I get a little
They used to have the best shooting guard.
VAR
we do
check.
not. Yeah.
VAR check. Yeah, definitely not the best coach, but continue.
No, he is. Steve Kerr's the best coach in the league.
He's not.
I don't even know
every single time we've had rankings, he's been number one.
We're not even maybe we have to pivot and do coaching rankings because I don't know. We were going to do coaching rankings eventually. I don't even know if I'd.
I know some people say this guy called Pop is, but like he's good, but he's number two.
Not him either.
No. I've heard some people ranked him somewhere in the late teens, if I remember correctly, or mid-teens maybe.
Really?
Wait, that list that I sent you? Yeah. There's some random list that rank coaches. I don't want to get sidetracked, but he was way too low.
Who are you referring to then, Jake?
Eric Spoelstra.
Oh, you know what? I can respect that.
Wizard.
I'm not used to having someone who respects Eric Spoelstra in the main seat. No, in the main seat, Dave.
In the main seat. In
the driver's seat.
I think Eric. I don't want to diverge too much. But I
Dave thought I was going after him.
I think Pods is one of those guys. I think Dave kind of alluded to it a little bit. He does more than his box score says, right? He's everywhere when you watch a Warriors game, right? Because at the beginning of the year, it's Steve Kerr with young players. He doesn't trust them originally, right? TJD and Pods had to fight for every minute they got. Even with how bad Andrew Wiggins was on that team this year, they still had to fight.
He was MIA, and I mean, Moses Moody still couldn't get minutes.
Exactly.
So I think
now Pods, it'll just be interesting to see. I had Pods, I think the lowest out of all of us, which isn't really an insult to him. I just have not seen enough yet, right? I saw spurts and I saw little kind of windows of talent, and he clearly has talent there. I will be interested to see where his game evolves and what he does, because he does a lot. He's not nowhere near the player, but he's a lot of like a versatile player who can stand at the free throw line and make passes, who can kind of cut off ball and be on the weak side of a defense and cut baseline. I don't know. Draymond is kind of like, I'm not saying he's fading out because obviously he has a couple years left, but Draymond that's obviously taken a step back the last couple of years.
Yeah,
and if they're going to keep playing the same way that they have, they're going to have to find players who can do some of his qualities. And Pods might be one of those guys that can kind of plug in some of those and be switchable and be making passes on the weak side and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and he's going to have to continue to work on his shot. I mean, without Klay Thompson there, you need to blow off valve for Steph Curry. I really do expect, I think expectations are incredibly high for him this year, because you said it, like last year he was all hustle, all heart. He was one of the best rebounding guards in the NBA. Same story was true in college. Like, he is 100% effort all the time, which is great. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of dependency on his shot, and then a lot of dependency on him getting better at defense. You're gonna hear that a lot for the next hour. Is you gotta play defense. Steve Kerr lets him get away with it sometimes because he really, really chooses to dislike Moody a lot. After, I mean, like, the guy popped off in the playoffs, and then the next game he's like, "Nah, I'm not playing him."
He does it with Kuminga too.
Yeah,
he does it with Kuminga too. Kuminga so much that he wanted to leave the team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. I'd love to have him.
What would we give up for him?
We almost it was a Zach LaVine, Alex Caruso deal.
Yeah, now that Caruso's gone,
I would have loved that.
Yeah. Don't go to the Bulls. Don't go to the Bulls. Sorry, I have to diverge.
Point being, I think he's got a lot of room to go upward. I think honestly he can take a big leap this year because of that opportunity and 100%. Because of the trust that Steve Kerr gives him. So he, in a year from now, he could leap up 10 spots. Honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I will throw one of the interesting names is Ricky. I don't mean to come to you, but like pick on you in any way. I just know that I'll reverse it. Dave, you have Austin Reeves the lowest out of all of us.
Yeah, Hillbilly Kobe.
So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on him?
I think that his game is to take shots and get to the foul line. He does that pretty well. I think that he gets more love than he deserves because Lakers, and of course, like THT was going to be the next superstar. We're going to, have him be the guy after a couple of summer league games. What do we?
Did we move into the next section yet? Because you didn't list off.
Oh, I
Austin
jumped. I jumped.
I was gonna say you said Austin Reeves, and I was like,
I did have Austin
he's a
Reeves
20.
ranked like 24.
That's on me.
that is why you were getting. I was giving those faces like, wait,
You're right.
Did I zone out and miss something?
Well, you got a preview of why Austin Reeves is mid.
Welcome back. Welcome to the back. It's going to take me a couple shows to get used to this.
I was just confused.
Welcome to the back.
It's going to take a couple shows. So yeah, we've discussed most of the people in this section. I think
was the person you were going to throw at me in the bottom section?
Wait, what do you mean?
You said you were going to go to me, and then you said no. Actually, I'll go to Dave.
It was Reese, but I was going to stop and talk about somebody real quick because we talked on most people except for a couple of them. I wanted to stop there. I think there's really only 3 people left. We haven't talked about Terrence Mann much.
Mm-hmm.
Terrence Mann is Terrence Mann. He's Mr. Untouchable. He wasn't available when James Harden trades, but now Retro's talking about trading him.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. The 3 names that I was talking about was Bogdan, Gary Trent, and Shaden Sharp. Those are the 3 that we haven't talked about. Is there any of those 3 that you guys want to highlight?
I don't care about Gary Trent, but Bogdan Bogdanovic, we talked about in the last section. He is a clutch shooter, offensive. Just he makes things work. Appreciate the word things there. And I did expect, we expect him in the starting lineup as a potential spot because he's the best player. The problem is that I don't quite know, like Jake alluded to, like it probably has a chance to have like Dyson Daniels in there, but also there's a bunch of guys who could get looks at the wing the same way. So like, right now he's a sure thing. We know who he is, and we know he's an incredibly gifted shooter. And I think he doesn't get enough credit for his creation and his on-ball creation. His passing skills are just like he's what you want out of that secondary, tertiary, ball handler on a roster. So I think his ranking here seems bad, but it kind of falls in that same case of like you're one of the best bench players in the league, and that's what you've shown us. But in the starting lineup, like people are putting different level of expectations on you. Maybe here, I had him much higher.
I am at 16. Gary Trent.
Are you the
Jake's the hater.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I'm not a hater.
You had him at 24.
I had him at 24, and it's again. How do I explain this? I had this exact conversation with Retro a couple weeks ago when we were talking about Gary Trent.
Good eye, mate.
Good day, mate. I don't think it's so much of a hatred of Gary Trent. I'm just going to be interested in their system, what looks he's going to get, because he's going to get really he's not going to get many opportunities with the ball in his hands at all, right? Mm-hmm. Because when you have Dame, Giannis, and now Chris Middleton, who Chris Middleton was great in the playoffs, shout out. It'll just be interesting. I don't know. I think Gary Trent is good, and you kind of see again in my rankings, there's kind of a consistent thing. I kind of kept a lot of the 3-and-D guys towards that 15 and below mark, right? I just don't know how expansive Gary Trent Jr.'s game is going to be, and I also think, I don't think GMs always get it right, but the fact that nobody went out and tried to get his until he signed a minimum, right? It's kind of the same thing. Now I can be proven wrong, just like Dave was last year with Oubre, right? Oubre didn't sign until I think it was like a couple weeks ago last year, right? That he signed on a minimum, but nobody went out to get Gary Trent Jr. The Raptors weren't overzealous to overpay him, anything like that. I think he is a good player, but I think a lot of what he does is easily replaceable. So yeah, I think that'll do it for the 20-30. Unless you guys have any thoughts.
Shaden Sharp, stay healthy.
That's it.
You're dope. You're dope.
Yep.
Just stay healthy.
Sick. Just stay healthy. Ricky, anything?
No, not really. I can't wait to get up into. Yet again, with a lot of these rankings, it's like it's almost like a meal. This is kind of like the lower part is the drinks portion, then the appetizer in the middle, and then the main course at the end.
You're really thinking about that burger and that.
I'm really thinking. That's why my kitchen is that way. I'm like leaning and turning. I got fries also.
Oh man, but yeah, here we go into the 20-30. We'll start with number 20. We already alluded to him. The Los Angeles Lakers, Austin Reeves. Number 19 from the Pacers, Andrew Nembhard. Number 18 from the Orlando Magic now, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP. Number 17 from the Philadelphia 76ers, Kelly Oubre. Number 16 from the San Antonio Spurs, Devin Vassell. Number 15, I almost blanked for a minute, from the Brooklyn Nets, Cam Thomas.
Nice.
Number 14 from the Houston Rockets, Jalen Green. Number 13 from the Miami Heat, Tyler Hero. Number 12 from the Charlotte Hornets, Brandon Miller. And at number 11 from the Chicago Bulls, Kobe White. Kobe White. Dave, we'll kind of resume our conversation that we were having about Austin Reeves earlier. If you want to continue with your point, if you think, I guess I will ask you this question though. Do you think that Austin Reeves, if he was moved to the bench, would be one of the highest end bench players in the league?
I think he's just worse Bogdanovich.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And that's I literally have a jump of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spots because of that. Like I have Bogey that much higher than him. Because I think that's sort of this thing. But also, like, Austin Reeves on a bad team probably could put up, hilarious numbers if they give him the opportunity to. But, like, he's just a solid shooting guard. I don't think that he defends well enough to earn any sort of reputation on that side of the ball. I think offensively, he plays well off LeBron, which is why he's the guy. If anything, it's, they're going to move off D'Lo and find a better, like, 3-and-D option, even if he doesn't have ball handling skills, because he doesn't need it, because Austin Reeves showed, hey, I can facilitate a little bit enough where if LeBron is, either on the bench or being double teamed all game, like, we can run a bit of offense through me and it's not going to be a disaster. He's competent. I don't have anything like hatred against him. It's just, I think there are other guys who are doing what he's doing, but better.
You think he's worth Reed Shepherd?
I think Reed Shepherd's way better than him.
That's what I mean. But
I don't think they do the same thing. No,
body type. I was saying people already throwing the comparison together.
No,
Ricky,
if anything, he better watch out for Dalton Connect come for his job.
Yeah, I can see that too. Honestly, not gonna lie to you, Ricky. Your thought? You had Austin Reeves obviously the highest out of all of us.
I just think he's a dog. Like, that's yet again a lot of things, vibes, and who I would have on my team, who would I want. And he's a guy that I do like Dalton Connect too. If he was in the rankings, I don't know. Like, here's the thing. So far, I've only done to this point the two that we're going to do to record. I've not done any of the forwards or the centers yet. Mm-hmm. And so far through things, we haven't had a situation, unless I'm overlapping it or forgetting about it, of like, oh, this is a guy who hasn't played any NBA games yet.
Nope.
Which I think would be a kind of difficult thing to say, hey, where do I place you when I don't know what you're going to do? But like Austin Reeves, Hillbilly Kobe, he's one of the, like, with the shooting guards, except for like the top, it's like the top 10 are like, hey, these are like the guys of their team. And then the rest of them are just like, you fill a role. You're not complete. Like, you play defense. You shoot. You are a spark plug of offense. And if we need it, we can go to you. Like, it was kind of, I'll say, hard to rank, like, what do I base more on? And I don't know about you guys, but like a guy who is gifted shooting versus a guy who's a lockdown defender, but is a wet paper bag on offense. Like,
that would be Keon Ellis.
Like,
you ranked him like 29 or 30.
Like that's the thing where it's like,
we value offense clearly up until a point. Mm-hmm. I think that's the thing. Like, I think the offense is important up to a point, and then you would rather have defense.
Mm-hmm.
There's two guys that I really want to talk about in this section, and I'll reverse it back to you, Ricky. Two guys that you had on the opposite end of the spectrum, which I find interesting.
Okay.
You had KCP at 26, and then you had Kelly Oubre at 8. So I find, because
what is wrong with you?
No, relax. I was trying to figure out, because listen, Oubre, one of my dudes, absolute dog. But I was
Discord picture. I love the man, but
I was looking at our rankings and I was trying to figure out why Oubre was higher than KCP.
Better situation. I mean, this one too, I would rather have Kelly Oubre than KCP. Yeah. But also, let's be honest, you mentioned it in the podcast we had on Tuesday, where it was basically KCP, new role. He ain't going to be doing the same things he was doing in Denver, where Kelly Oubre, he's sitting there. He's like, I'm fine, brother. I'm fine. Let's just hope I don't get hit by a car this time. Let's hope he has a little bit better luck in life rather than air quote, allegedly. But like, I just like Oubre more, and he's in the same situation. KCP to me is like, KCP is a dude that's like, he's just not as consistent in my mind as Oubre. I don't think he's going to have as great of a year with Orlando that he did with Denver.
I would have to flip that. I think that Oubre is super inconsistent, which is not too much to a fault, but his shooting is very inconsistent. And I don't want to. I think Oubre is a good player, but he is one of the worst finishers at the rim that I've ever watched. He cannot make layups. He is like him and Andre Drummond on the court together is going to be hilarious. But KCP is a better shooter too. That's what I'm saying. KCP is a better shooter and a better defender than Oubre. So my point of view is I think I had KCP at 15. I'll double check here real quick. I had KCP at 15. Yes, I think KCP is like, and you were right about the thing that I said before, and his role is going to change a little bit. But it's not that, I shouldn't say his role isn't going to change. The looks that he's going to get is going to change because the Magic are going to rely so heavily again on Paolo and Franz to create.
Mm-hmm.
But KCP is still that guy defensively. We saw it last year, right? Until the Nuggets got tired, he was still that guy defensively, right? I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to get your thoughts.
Paolo is not a guy, and this is what you get. Like, you should know this because you have a center like this or a guy down low like this. When you have a guy down low like Jokic and Embiid, black hole, they just suck the defense in. That gives the wide open. They're eating ass in the paint, basically. To quote a old MVP, old fast breakism. But like, Paolo's not going to have that. Paolo's not going to suck anybody in to where KCP's going to have a lot more hands in his face. And if he can hit them, cool, he'll move up the rankings. But I just don't think he'll have the same looks. He's going to have more hands, more contested shots.
I don't think Dave can control himself right now. So I'll move on to the next players. I actually wanted to get into before Dave. Oh, where do you go?
Okay.
You good?
I'm so good. I just, talking about who Paolo can't suck or, it just
suck people in.
Yep. Paolo's inability to suck is
No, I didn't say. I didn't stop there. I said suck the defense.
No. I get it.
Get your mind out of the gutter, Dave. Joel. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Just a reminder that Dave's in his, he's a boomer. So,
so I think the interesting thing, you're both right. You're both right on KCP. The looks he's going to get, I expect his percentages to drop a smidge, but that does not change the pedigree of player he is, in my opinion. Championship player, multiple teams, multiple systems. He will adapt. He will continue to be awesome. Kelly Oubre might have one of the worst ego problems that you ever can see from a shooter. Like, he thinks he will hit every shot. And at times that is great. And at other times I'm screaming at him to not take shots. And then sometimes they still go in anyway. And it's like, that shouldn't exist.
No one ever had a problem with Kobe shooting when he was having an off night.
Do not.
Shooter's gonna shoot, man. Shooter's gonna shoot.
It's been great. It's been great being on the show with you guys again. I'm sad that it ended after like 3 episodes.
Shooter's gonna shoot, man.
I can't.
I guess Ricky, you'll enjoy this because nobody's going to be going after you, but I think we're going to go on the player that I think out of all these lists we're most split on. All right, so I'll just go through the list real quick. Ricky, you had this guy at 15. I had this guy at 9. Dave had this guy at 21. So we are as far separated as.
At first, I thought it was Kobe White, but I know it's not.
No. This player is Houston Rockets shooting guard Jalen Green.
Oh, Dave just hates Jalen Green. We all know that.
Oh, no. I just want to ask Dave. So going into this year, because we call back to 2021.
Yeah.
Dave and I were the JG4 guys, right?
Yeah.
We were the big JG4 guys. Now I want to ask you, do you think a lot of Jalen Green succeeding and not succeeding on this roster this year is kind of based on them going a different direction in terms of team building, right? Because Şengün obviously growing out his game, and we've talked about how the best way to get out of Şengün is to build the system around him. Is that not a system that Jalen Green can thrive in, or is it something else?
We have not seen Jalen Green thrive next to Şengün as much as people want it to happen, and people are incredibly, I would say delusional at their pairing of Amen Thompson and Jalen Green. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're seeing off some trash games against competition that didn't care. and then watching that slam immediately back down to reality when they played against playoff teams and got their asses kicked game after game after game, and his shooting percentages went so far down. Like, I swear he shot like 20% from three for the last like 15 games. It was awful. It was watching this man brick up for but yeah.
Why are you looking at me like that? He can't look me in the face when he's making an argument against me, Ricky. I don't think it's going to be a long year for him.
No, it will not.
I think that his production on that team is a problem when it comes to evaluating, like, do these points mean anything? Because I think that from a system standpoint, if you took him out and put in Cam Whitmore, are they a better team with that starting lineup? I think so. I think if you take him out and you slide everybody up one, and you added in like Tarisin or another one, it's just, I feel like his addition is not great. Maybe that's because I see a lot of similar things out of like a young Zach LaVine, out of guys who are these uber athletic shooting guards who have so much talent, but don't actually help you win games. Like, he's improved. I still the guy who loved JG4 coming into the draft. I still think that he's a good player. I still think he's gotten better. But I don't know that I'm going to give him a max contract. I think that would be, like, even though in the league is basically forcing you to at this point, I don't think that's the right move for them. And I think that if you took JG4 off this team and put him on let's say like Tyler Hero, like if you swap them, do you think that he would get away with half the crap that he pulls? No.
Okay. So, okay. Yeah. Sorry.
No, sorry. I was just a dramatic pause, but no, there's no chance. And I think that if you had Tyler Hero on the Rockets, they're right in about the same spot. I don't think there's a huge drop off in anything there. If anything, I think like Tyler Hero is a better facilitator than Jalen Green is. But
yeah, I think there's a lot of points to dissect there. First off, I think that your point of him moving to the Heat would actually tremendously help him, because I think one of the big problems that I've had with a lot of the Rockets young players is that they spent their first couple years under Steven Silas, and they were playing reckless basketball, and I think that built tendencies, especially in Jalen Green, because he is that kind of guy who has, I won't say ego, I'll say confidence. It's the same thing with Oubre. I'll say confidence to build bad habits, and I think that takes time to get rid of, if I'm honest with you. I don't want to pull this card too much, but I've coached and I've seen players who you literally have to beat out bad tendencies from because they're so used to coaches letting them do it. Right?
He got benched.
You're beating players?
Yeah.
No, see, that's what I knew you were gonna turn that into.
It's a joke.
Yeah, I know. I think,
but do they?
And I don't massively disagree with you on the point of I don't know. I think my main thing I was going to say here is I don't think that he's on the Rockets at the end of this season, if that makes sense. Or by the time we're talking here in a year, I don't think he's on the Rockets. And I think that's beneficiary for both. Right? The way I looked at these rankings is I'm going to rank them as players, right? I'm going to rank not by who I'd want, but who I think are the most talented and the best players, right? That's why I had Drew Holiday even over Trae Young, because how talented he is defensively, right? Because if I was thinking like pure, like even I would say with like I'm trying to pick out one of our point guards, but whatever it is, I just think that him solely as a player, I can still see the talent there. Are there bad tendencies? Absolutely. But also, I thought it was funny that you pointed to Zach LaVine, and he doesn't help you win games. But I'll be interested to see where you have less Zach LaVine in your small forward rankings. Yep. Because if you're making the same points about Zach LaVine, then Zach LaVine can't be higher in your rankings.
The difference is Zach LaVine was one of the most efficient scorers, and Jalen Green is not.
No, is the answer there.
Zach LaVine
has
share the athleticism at the shooting guard position. They both
Correct.
are incredible athletes. The difference is what Zach does with his athleticism, even post 3 surgeries.
Now 3 then.
Yeah. And Jalen Green, whose 3-point shot has been stagnant his entire career. Like from a true shooting standpoint, they're not even close. From a scoring at 3 levels, they're not even close.
I don't want to turn this into Jalen Green versus Zach LaVine.
I know, but I'm just saying like that was the comp I would like that makes the more scope sense. Of what I was trying to pick.
Yeah, the context makes more sense. But what I'm saying is I don't even think they're really similar. Like besides the athleticism, I don't think they do a lot of the same things, right? Because I don't know if you'll agree with this, but I watched the Houston Rockets last year and I saw Jalen Green try, right? He actually tried. I don't want to tailor too much towards that.
Dude,
but a lot of his,
you watch? No one's going to hit you with the do you even watch, bro?
Oh, I'm sure they will. I mean, people find that regardless of whatever I say. I listen. Is Jalen Green at 9 probably a little bit too high? Probably.
Insanely.
I don't think insanely, but probably. But he is still one of my favorite players to watch in the NBA, and I still think there is a player in there. I just think, and again, we see this a lot, aka Lowry Markkinen, changes of scenery can help players tremendously. So I think that's what's next for Jalen Green and the Rockets. I think once we start talking about team stuff and our predictions, we'll get more into that kind of stuff. But I think Jalen Green and the Rockets probably is near their expiration date. What's up?
Can I ask you, did you have Cam Thomas above or below?
Let me double check here real quick. Cam Thomas. You talking about Cam Thomas below Jalen Green?
Yeah. Where in relation to Jalen
I
Green?
had Cam Thomas at 16, and I had Jalen Green at 9.
So why is the Hooper's Hooper so low and Jalen Green so high?
I think that Jalen Green has much more defensive upside than Cam Thomas.
Would you say that Jalen Green is more consistent than Cam Thomas?
No, I'd never use the word consistent of Jalen Green if I'm being honest with you.
I'm just
Never
asking.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Because I also had Cam Thomas 4 spot. I had 2 players in between Green and Thomas.
Yeah, and again, I think a lot of the players that are in between both of them. I mean, we'll get into some of them in the top 10, and some of them are in this list we can talk about. But
Kobe and Gary Trent for me are right in between them.
Yeah, I was much lower on Gary Trent, so he's not even touching that part of my ranking. But yeah, I think Jalen Green is so interesting because and I have a tendency. I am very open about it. I will not quit on some players. All right, I think Jalen Green can still be a tremendous.
It's your coach mentality.
Listen,
the problem is he's never gotten hurt. That's why I don't still love him as much. If he got hurt and was trying to come back, I would be all in.
Yeah, I get it. I'm still maybe in a year from now. Or no, it still won't be a year from now.
Because what's your love for Ja gonna be like this year?
If he gets, dude, it's big. if Jalen Green's on a new team a year from now, I'm gonna have even more optimism. That's just how it's gonna go. So I guess we'll see. Somebody else I wanted to touch on in this section was Devin Vassell, because I believe Dave, you were lower on Devin Vassell than both of us. I can double check the rankings.
I had him at 23.
No, it was Ricky that was lower than both of them. I was pretty high on Devin Vassell. Because I had Devin Vassell at 11. Dave, you had him at 17, and Ricky, you already said. So I guess I'll bump to Ricky. Ricky, your thoughts on Devin Vassell?
Yeah, it's just with me with the rankings. There are some guys looking back that I was like, ooh, I could have them a lot higher. Devin Vassell's not that guy. To me, it's just he's not good. He's not bad. It's kind of like, or he's not great. He's not bad, I should say. Like, he's not top 10, but he's not Jordan Poole, the floor, or below the floor. I just like it. It was basically where I was mapping it out, and I'm like, I got to have this guy here. And then, by the way, it's just like, oh, shoot. What about Devin Vassell? And it's just like, you go to say, oh, is he above this guy? This guy's just where he fell. Like, that's a weird thing about these shooting guard rankings is it's like, wow, someone really loves this guy. Yeah, but I value this guy more. And it's like, why? They do 2 different things sometimes to where it's like, I couldn't disrespect Kobe. I have Kobe White low, but I couldn't put him outside the 20s low. Cam Thomas is inconsistent in my mind unless he's playing the Bulls. But he did pop off for an insane streak last year to where I had to respect him. Gary Trent I really like. Derek White, any of the guys I have above Devin Vassell, I'm like, I can't have them below him. Maybe Colin Sexton. Boom, I move him up 1 maybe if I redo it.
I respect that. I don't agree with it, but I respect it.
2 players I left want to touch on in this section. First, because I know the next one will probably go the longest.
I like how every new player he says, he goes, 2 more players.
Yeah, sorry, that's my case.
Real quick, can I just say Devin Vassell, if
my bad.
He took advantage of the opportunity in San Antonio. That was a team that you had Wemby and you had nothing. No offense to the guys on that roster, but from an offensive standpoint, they were in dire need.
Now they have Chris Paul.
Now they have Chris Paul to run an actual offense as opposed to Point Sohan, which was an experience for a couple of months. And then they switched over to Jones, which he's a great backup point guard. But I just think that Devin Vassell was a great shooter, really good all-around player. Look for him to take a step forward, but even he, I feel like just kind of got a huge benefit from the system and the opportunity. And nothing wrong with that. But I'm curious to see what happens when they translate to like winning basketball games. Now they're adding Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes around him as like legit vets, and they try to win games this year. I'm curious what his role is going to look like and shake out as, because I really loved him going into his draft class. Even I had him higher than Patrick Williams. I thought he was the best wing on the board at 4. So I'm very happy to see him doing well, but I want to see him play like games that matter and see what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because we kind of looked at it and it was Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson and which one would take advantage. And it was definitely Devin Vassell. He was the one who excelled next to Wemby in that team. I want to talk about who probably will be, bold take here, one of, if not the highest risers out of this entire list. I think Brandon Miller right now is at 12, right? We saw kind of flashes last year. I'll go back to you, Dave. How high of a ceiling do you think Brandon Miller has coming into this year?
In 1 year, how much can he jump?
Yeah, in general, his game or exactly in the list, how high can he jump?
I mean, probably. The problem is like the top 6 is legit crazy good, and then after that, it can be like specialized. So he could get all the way up to like 8 probably. I think he'd jump up to 8 in a year. He's better than I think anybody outside of Charlotte expected. He is such a good shooter, and he's good at using his length to get to his spots and like take shots that can't be contested as easily. I know he models himself after Paul George. He talks about like how A, he thinks he's the best player in the NBA, and then B, how like basically he's trained after him. So it's very close connection there. And again, they're built similarly. Paul George, obviously much older, has way more muscle on his body. So we'll see Brandon as he tries to add that muscle. Like, how's that going to look like? Where's his game going to evolve next? But right now, he's got a great touch, absolutely great touch. And I'm curious to see what he'll look like with an actual point guard for more than 30 games because LaMelo will be healthy.
And an actual coach. Ricky, any thoughts on Brandon Miller?
I think that the answer to your question, or how far he could rise, is exactly where you guys have him right now.
Interesting.
Because you guys both have him at 12. I've got him at what? 20. And the reason being is he was good, but yet again, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to do the Dennis Green, to quote Dennis Green. I don't want to crown his ass. I want at least one more year before it's like, okay, because rookies come in, they have a great rookie year. It's like, let's crown them. I want to see a little bit and then move up. I'm like, I'm conservative right now. I'm Brandon. He's good.
Remember the Kyle Kuzma,
another good year,
Jason
he'll move
Tatum?
up. Mm-hmm.
What do you say?
I mean, remember the Jason Tatum, Kyle Kuzma rookie year controversies about who's better?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's going to look like that, but
it might.
That, to Ricky's point, like,
who's
you don't know until you know.
Who's the Kyle Kuzma in this situation? Are you saying that he could be either Tatum or Kuzma?
I'm saying that, like, trying to grade a guy after 1 year when they had an incredibly productive first year, it can be hard because, like, Kyle Kuzma was seen as an equal to Jason Tatum as rookies. And clearly they are not close to equals.
Well, closer than some might think,
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding. Let me just. I'm kidding.
Spicy. Boston's gonna love that.
I'm Boston. Boston will love that. They'll love it coming from a person in a Sixers jersey, even better. I'm sure somebody's already typing out "lol" second round exit "lol" in the comment section. And the last guy I wanted to touch on in this section was at 11. We had Kobe White. So Ricky, I will throw it to you as obviously you had Kobe White the lowest.
No, I didn't. Did I?
Oh, you didn't?
How high did you have him, Jake?
You had him at 17. I had him at 14.
Okay, I barely had him the lowest.
Yeah, but I'm just saying you had him the lowest of all.
The way you phrased it, I was like,
How are you not gonna believe in Kobe like that though? Like, I got him at 11.
The last year's a flash in the pan. I
We're talking the number 2 most improved player. Number 2.
I don't think guys can have great pop off years and then fall back down. Like it's happened before, and I think it's going to happen. I just I gave him.
I think he's going to not be able to duplicate that because I feel like his big change last year was the effort on defense and the trust in ball handling that they gave him. And our coach is still our coach. Billy Donovan's still going to run 4-guard lineups because he's whoever he is. And his defense was effort, effort, effort. And that's what dug him out of that hole that he had the year before when he was really struggling. Like he found out what it took to be a pro and what he needed to add to his game. So do you think is it the concern about like Zach LaVine's going to be back playing again in still time?
It's the whole team. LaVine's not going to, although I would love for it to happen, LaVine's not going to get traded. We got to fit Giddey into the system. It's going to take the ball out of Kobe White's hands. I just don't think Kobe White's going to be what he was last year. To me, believe it or not, 17 is me being generous. It's me saying, hey, I respect last year. That is what 17 is. Because I could have put, I'll be honest, I could have put Cam Thomas ahead of him. I could have put Brandon Miller ahead of him. A guy I have way too low, but it is what it is. I should have definitely put probably Jalen Williams ahead of him. Like, it's one of those things where I could have put Devin Vassell ahead of him. There are guys I could have put ahead of Kobe, but I'm like, you know what? I want to put him there. The Jalen Williams one he's good. No, I'm not. But I just would rather have other shooting guards on my team. That's what it is.
Seen Dave
no, I know. It is what it is. But he's not a top 10 shooting guard.
But you guys, here we go. I don't want to open up the can of worms too much, but I'm gonna crack it open just a little bit. Dave, if you're a Nostradamus here, you got this. If you're a Nostradamus here, do you think that Kobe White is like, could he take an additional jump in this rankings? Do you think he's a guard of a future for the Bulls? Or do you think like, and it's not like a hindrance to say, do you think what you saw last year is what his peak is?
I think he can get a little bit better. I don't know, to Ricky's credit, I don't know his role on the Bulls getting larger this year. So we might just see him kind of do the same thing, and we might see it like look similar, but maybe he cleans up a couple of rough edges. He had some ugly turnovers towards the end of the year. I don't know that the volume will be there to say, hey, this guy should be a top 10, and I don't know that his defense will be as crazy good as like Derek White's. That would make up for it. So like it's going to be a bit of a balancing act this next year, but I think as the Bulls' future clears up, hopefully as we find a new home for Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic, and we filter out our roster to be more based around, the 5-6 guys under the age of like 26, he would be that guy to be the anchor on the team. So I think that like in the future, yes, I do think he can crack the top 10. I don't think it'll happen next year.
Yeah, Ricky, I assume you're against that. You think that?
No, it's his peak.
Let me ask you.
He found the roof, and it's the ceiling.
It's the ceiling. Let me ask you this. Now, do you think he'll stay consistent with the production he had last year, or do you think there will be a noticeable drop off?
If I had to put my money on it, I would say more of the same. But if you do the exact same, it looks worse. Perspective.
Yeah, I guess that starts the debate of like, stats don't say everything, right? Because if he plays a cleaner game, if he improves on defense, cuts out the turnovers, but puts up the same or say a point or two less per game, but the percentages increase, then some would say that's an increase, like an increase to his overall play, right? But statistical standpoint, you wouldn't notice it too much. I guess that's like the best case scenario.
It's not gonna be like, oh, dude, he's one. It's like he's not gonna be Kyrie Irving or Donovan Mitchell all of a sudden. He's not even gonna be, I don't know, CJ McCollum. Like, it's just like he's gonna, if he's best season, it's very similar, looks very similar to last year. And usually when you do the same thing twice in a row, it doesn't look better, and people go, oh, okay, so this is Kobe White.
Yeah, no,
because he's not a player that's he's not the player that's like a big three of a team to win a championship. So it's like, if you're not improving into that, you kind of look stagnant, and that's what I think Kobe's going to look like.
Yeah, I get that. I'm going to say neutral on Kobe White all year, just so I can see the two go back.
Eventually, you're going to have to give an opinion about him. Not that you're picking a side.
Shots are gone. Where are they going? Because Josh Giddey's not taking
Zach LaVine's
The mentor is also gone. We'll see how that affects Kobe too. He's now lost two mentors in Thaddeus White and DeMar DeRozan, and LaVine's not going to be no mentor.
Thaddeus White.
Thaddeus was his mentor. They worked out like he mentioned him in almost every interview.
No,
don't blame
Thaddeus.
me.
No. You said Thaddeus White. Like he
Oh,
took
It's like
they were
it's like
together.
Thaddeus took his last
No, I
name.
know.
Like,
They were
Thaddeus
together.
and
They were
Thaddeus.
together
I
so
went,
much. You know what I
do
mean?
that. Don't do that. No, don't do that. All right, so that'll about do it for 11 through 20. I'll throw it to Dave first. Dave,
I've
any
done
final
that on
thoughts?
Heel
Anybody
Talk
that we
before.
didn't go in depth on that you'd like to talk about?
God. 11 through 20. Andrew Nemhard, just for the shout out. I think we put him in here. There's the arguable case that Ben Matherin could be here as well.
Yes.
Some people are of the belief that like, hey, you don't lose your job by getting hurt. And I think in this case, I might disagree because I think that Andrew Nemhard with that playoff run really could not miss. And again, small sample size, but the most critical sample size you could ever have. The most high pressure situations when Halliburton goes out hurt, when he's missing opportunities in games basically because he's playing hurt, you needed Nemhard to step up, and he was one of those guys who did. That's why I have him in here a little bit higher, but I think that he's the guy who's going to hold down that spot. Like they like their like 2 guard lineups with him as a secondary creator for them. Like the more creation in the Pacers offense, the better. I think that jived really well with like getting Pascal better looks too. So shout out to Nemhard. I don't expect him to shoot 56% for a whole season and or anything crazy like that. But I expect an incredibly efficient season and him to continue thriving.
Agreed. Ricky, any final thoughts?
No, I can't wait to get into the top 10.
And with that, let's move straight into the top 10 of our shooting guard list. At number 10, we have from the Toronto Raptors, R.J. Barrett. At number 9, we have from the Oklahoma City Thunder, Jalen Williams. At number 8, from the Boston Celtics, we have Derek White. At number 7, from the I almost said the wrong team, the Phoenix Suns, Bradley Beal.
You wanted to say
At
Washington Wizards, didn't you?
I totally wanted to
Yeah,
say the Washington
hard.
Wizards. At number 6, from the New Orleans Pelicans, again, almost the Trailblazers, CJ McCollum. At number 5, for the Memphis Grizzlies, Desmond T-Rex Bain. At number 4, Mikal Bridges. At number 3, Kyrie Irving. At number 2, Donovan Mitchell. And at number 1, MJ Jr. Edwards. So there are some interesting rankings here. I'm going to start on the positive side.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave, I'm going to go to you for this.
Sure.
RJ Barrett, right? In New York, he had a tumultuous last year and a half. But in Toronto, we saw him thrive there in that system. So what do you think RJ is going to pick up where he left off last season, or do you think he can even increase his production?
I think that there's a chance that he steps up a smidge more. Even like, I think he proved. Sorry, I think he proved something in the last 30 games with the Raptors. He continued on. Even like it just looks like he feels more comfortable as a scorer. He feels more comfortable as a creator. He feels more comfortable the more usage you give him, which sometimes works out to your benefit when it's efficient. And somehow he shot better with it. Like everything that's like usually like, oh, production can go up, but efficiency goes down. He's like, production goes up, efficiency also pretty good. Like, don't worry about it. Like he continues to play well. So I think that if we're talking about guys who made the most out of their opportunity last year, like he killed it after the trade. And I think that the question for the Raptors is going to be like, cool, we love Scotty Barnes. Like they love Scotty Barnes. And now you have RJ Barrett, who just had his best season, who is from Canada. So you got that connection. Like it feels like a match made in heaven there. I think that he's going to keep going as their number 2 option. I think that this is a team, obviously, like they have a place filler, to put it nicely, in Kelly Olynyk. And obviously you don't expect much offense, if any at all, out of Jakob Poeltl. So like they need buckets. He's that guy. All of a sudden, I'm glad it came around because I dogged on this guy for being the 3rd overall pick in that draft class. So very much. And it's awesome to see him succeed now. So happy for him.
Yeah, it is. I agree. He was just fantastic in that system. There's, we kind of, whenever he got traded to the Raptors, him and Quickly, we're like, it's going to be nice to see them both kind of increase roles because RJ, by the end of it, New York is a very, very hard place to succeed. And everybody gets that. I just don't know. I don't want to say built for it. I think RJ probably struggled a little bit on the mental side of basketball because his game has always been there. He's not doing anything really new. He's just doing what we thought he could when he came out of Duke. Ricky.
I was going to say, real quick, it's like being a quarterback in Chicago or New York.
Ooh. Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's true. It's just tough to succeed. Ricky, I'm going to throw it to you. Again, I'm pretty sure you know this one's coming. So Jalen Williams ended up at 9 on our list. I just want to look. I had Jalen Williams at 4. Dave had him at 6, and Ricky, you had Jalen Williams at 19.
Yeah.
So just explain your thought process.
Just vibes how it came out, I'm a dude. I hate to say this, but it's like I'm going through it. And here's the thing. I went through the list once. I didn't revise. Like, that was one thing. I was strictly, this is what I think. I didn't want to overthink anything. Could have been a little bit higher? Yeah, but like, I'll be honest, overthinking these shooting guards just because, like, I'm like, okay, I can't have Kobe White too low because everyone will come after me. Probably should have had Kobe lower. Probably should have had Cam Thomas lower. Probably should have had Jalen Green lower, even though I feel like Jalen Green is like right there and like he's the middle of the shooting guards. I mean, with me, it was just who would I rather, and said the same thing in the point guards. Who would I rather have as my shooting guard? And a lot of the times I was like, this guy. Now I did say, got through like maybe 15. I did go to the bottom and say, who do I absolutely hate? Who's the worst? And kind of work up from there. That's how it fell out. Could he have been a little higher? Yeah, but like, I don't know. There's always next year, my dudes.
Can I ask an incredibly insulting question?
You usually like to.
Now, I know their names are very similar,
Mm-hmm.
but when you were thinking
No.
Jalen Williams, were you
No.
thinking J-Dub or J-Will?
I mean, I was thinking of the shooting guard on the Thunder. Not
Okay,
the
as opposed to the-
J-A-L-I. I wasn't thinking of J-A-L-I. Because isn't that how the other one spells his name, or is it a Y?
No, Y. He's got a Y.
But isn't it I-N for the other one?
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking of I-N. I was thinking of E-N. I just was looking at the other guy, and I like Gary Trent Jr. I like Andrew. I know the injury stuff, but I liked Andrew Nemhard. I like Austin. Yeah. I liked other guys where I'm like, this is where he falls.
I think
I'm at a loss for words, so Jake, you go ahead.
Hey,
it's not like you guys are treating me like I had Anthony Edwards at 19.
Well, to be fair, Jake
I'm being nice on this
top
one.
5.
No, I know, but it's not like I had, CJ, Bradley, Kyrie, Donovan. I didn't have any of them at 19. Like, it's Jalen Williams. Like,
I think in a bold prediction, we're back here in a year doing these rankings again. I think Jalen Williams will probably be in your top 6, 7. I think he is.
We'll see.
I think at a time
that team's vastly different without Shea. So like I put more onus on Shea and think of him highly than I think of most of that Thunder team.
Yeah, but that's like saying Chet. That's like saying I can't rate like back in the day. I can't. That's crazy to say back in the day. Back in the day, I can't rate Klay Thompson higher. I can't rate Klay Thompson in the top 3 because Steph Curry is the team, right? Or Draymond Green is the team. Klay was the third most.
But Klay Thompson was like one of the best like number 2 defenders for a team, and like I don't think Jay Will is that.
Yeah, he is. Jalen Williams.
I don't think he's at anywhere near the level Klay was in his prime.
I think Jalen Williams at times this season was probably playing at a top 20 to top 25 player in the NBA. Kind of like rhythm, whatever you want to say, or height, whatever you want to say. I think he's a guy who can create his own shot, can shoot off the catch. I don't want to be too I think he's a top when I talk about defenders, I take centers out because centers are their own category. Mm-hmm. They're different types of defenders. But I think if we're talking wing defenders, I think Jalen Williams is a top 10 wing defender in the entire league. He is tremendous on the defensive side. He does everything. Off ball, on ball, switching, whatever. He has such a big, he's not really he has such a big, I don't want to say the word thick, but he has a big body build.
He's
right?
Thick.
Yeah, he's thick.
And
he's also long.
Exactly. I didn't want to say thick and long. Yeah, I didn't want to say that.
All right, Jerry Jones. It's okay.
I did see that. But he is such a switchable defender that he can basically guard 1 through 5 and do it at an elite level. Mm-hmm. And the only other guy on this list that can do that is, I think, Derek White. I think he's the only other guy in the shooting guard list.
Again, another guy outside the top 10.
I don't think I put Mikal on that, to be honest with you. 1 through 5, I don't put Mikal.
Really?
And then we'll get into Mikal. Because I think it's not that I dislike Mikal, but I just think Jalen Williams is such a talented player. And maybe I jumped the gun putting him at 4, but I think he is that good. I think the top 3 is set, right? I think Anthony, Mitch, and Kyrie, whatever, I think that's the exact order they should be in. I don't think there's any deviance from that. I think that's the exact order they should be. But Jalen Williams is the next guy on that list that I'm like, he is that dude. He is that dude who can do just about everything, right? Everything on the court that he needs to do, he can do. He's a good rebounder, great defender, can score at all three levels, and is able to play just about any role that a team needs.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing he really lacks is like that elite athleticism.
Yeah.
You know, he isn't lightning quick out there, but he does have good body control. So it's it's tough. I don't know. I think he's very good. I don't know. I guess it's very much the prove it thing. Like,
Yeah.
we'll see what OKC does this year with him. Ricky,
Take a look at my number 2 with what you just said, Jake.
Yeah. No, I know.
Take a look at my number 2 with what you just said.
Yeah, I know. We'll get to that. I just think that's I've been nice so far. That's the one I have to grill you on, but we're not going to get there yet.
What?
That
number
top 3.
2?
I won't get there yet. I think that Jalen Williams has the upside. Again, the athleticism will probably hinder him a little bit. Obviously, I don't know.
He's got like a 7'2" wingspan. Like, he can make up distance. I mean, that's the thing about, like, he knows his limitations, if that's a way to put it. Like,
correct.
He knows how to use what he has.
Yeah, he doesn't try to do anything.
That just makes him sound old, though. But like, he's not. He's like
young.
20.
But no,
he's 22, but still.
But that's a compliment. He plays like a mature player when I watch him, right? Nothing seems sped up with him. He doesn't try to put himself outside his comfort zone, and he does. And Dagnall basically asked him to do a bunch of different things this year next to SGA. And whenever Giddey was going through his thing, Jalen Williams basically had to play for 2 players, right? Because SGA is doing everything on the other end of the court. So Jalen Williams is flying around defensively, right? I think he gets lost in how good SGA is. That people
and Dort taking up the number 1 guy on the other team. So like,
But they have 2 guys who can guard number 1s, and then Shea, who can easily guard a number 2 on a team as well. Like, their defense, they're crazy. Now they have Caruso, who can also guard a number 1 on a team. They're nuts. All right, they're just insane. But I just think Jalen Williams sometimes, I think he gets lost in the fold a little bit. And I looking at my rankings now, I still think I stand by him at 4, especially off of last season. And I think he's only going to grow from there. But yeah, I think, Ricky, we can get into what you were referencing earlier. Mm-hmm. So I was saying our top 2 are set. Dave and I have identical top 3s. Shocker. And then, Ricky, your top 4 it goes Ant, Mikal Bridges, Donovan Mitchell. Explain your thought process of Mikal Bridges over Donovan Mitchell.
This may be so. I loved Mikal Bridges coming into this year, and I think he is like the Mikal Bridges we are going to get this year on the Knicks is when he finished. Remember when he finished number 2 in Defensive Player of the Year right behind Marcus Smart? And that year was like, I think, one of the top 3 players in defensive efficiency. We're going to get that out of Mikal Bridges this year. Just because he's on a team that's already loaded. They got White Dante. They got Josh Hart. They got Jalen Brunson.
Not where I was started my list, but okay.
They don't need him to, White Dante is the pinky ring. They already have a loaded team where it's like, hey, we'll need a little bit of offense from you. We'll need your 3-point shooting. But with Coach Thibodeau, one of the, I'll say, best defensive coaches, probably in my since the 2000s maybe, because the 90s, there was great defensive coaches too. He's gonna lock in with Tibbs and have one of the best seasons he's ever had. And I'm just looking at it, and I'm looking at him, and then otherwise it's like, I mean, the only thing I would probably change in my top 5 if I had to was maybe switch Donovan and Kyrie. Maybe I got Kyrie a little bit lower off of last year because I think he's one of the big reasons. Luka, if they don't have Luka, they don't go to the finals, of course. Yeah. But Kyrie was one of the big reasons why they went to the finals in my mind.
Hey, if they don't have PJ Washington, they probably don't go to the finals either. But
I
just want to say, so everything that you just said, he's going to have the ball in his hands less. Yep. He's going to be back to a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Mm-hmm. He's going to hit his threes. If, buts, and maybes, right? You know who did that last year? His name was Derek White. He did everything defensively for the Celtics. He could guard 1 through 5. He is, and I still stand by this, either the best or the second best shot blocking guard I've ever watched. It's him and D Wade. Those are the 2 that are the best shot blocking guards, right? So everything that you said about Mikal Bridges is what Derek White did last year, right? So Derek White, in my mind, I had Derek White at 5.
I'll be honest, I probably overlooked Derek White because he's on the Celtics, and they're so loaded that he just got overshadowed in my mind.
Yeah, but I just think I have him higher, and Donovan Mitchell. I don't know if I'm gonna have to fight both of you for Donovan Mitchell this year because I know this guy over here is the crown his ass. That's the first one I've said. He's the crown him fella. He didn't want to give Donovan Mitchell his credit a few years ago. I think he's come. Dave, you come around a little bit into Donovan Mitchell.
Number 2.
Okay, so you come around a little bit, but I don't know if he still gets his full respect. I don't think people realize how good he is. Like he carried that Cavs team at times this year.
Mm-hmm.
When Jared Allen and Evan Mobley could not get the ball going offensively, when Darius Garland was, I don't know what was happening. We mentioned him in the point guard rankings. Everything that could go wrong went wrong for Darius Garland. JB Bickerstaff's out there blaming Jared Allen for not playing through rib injury. But you know what was happening? Donovan Mitchell was out there dropping 40, 50 with ease. Like every night you could turn on a Cavs game and Donovan Mitchell was carrying them. All right, Donovan Mitchell, if he was on the Miami Heat, right? If he was on the Miami Heat, if he was on the LA Lakers, whatever it is, people would be fighting for him and Anthony Edwards 1-2 to actually be flipped. That's how good he is. Now I put Anthony Edwards 1 because he's a freak. But Donovan Mitchell is clear and away the second best on this list. And I think that it actually is in tiers. I think Ant and Donovan Mitchell are in a tier of their own, and then Kyrie's in a tier of his own, and then there's a drop with the next couple guys.
I don't disagree with much of anything you said there. I did have Donovan in, a different grouping a couple of years ago, about 3 years ago. He was in that tier with Zach LaVine and Devin Booker, and I think they were all pretty close. But yeah, Donovan Mitchell's taken a massive leap. Devin Booker took a pretty big leap, but he's in a different position this year thanks to Bradley Beal, who is just kind of soaking up space in the top 10, existing for some games during the year. We'll see. It's funny when you're talking about the Cavs, we continue to dance around it. Turns out there's 5 guys on the court for a team at once. We've only mentioned 4. That's a pretty common theme when you talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers, unfortunately. Somehow Isaac Okoro just signed like last week.
He did. Actually, the last Woj bomb ever was Isaac Okoro.
That'll history right there. So I think that, he gets a lot of credit for carrying an offense that literally was playing 4-on-5. Rightfully so. I do think it's interesting, the whole Kyrie him thing is a toss-up. But just the last point on the McHale thing, like I do buy in more after hearing Ricky talk about like the defense. I mean, think about McHale, OG Anunoby out there together. Like that's filthy levels of like defense.
Yeah,
like, they can do some disgusting things, and if he can get himself back to the priorities of, I had my fun. I was a primary scorer for a year and a half. It was a great time. Now I want to win. And now
it was not a great time.
It was great when he was putting up like 26 a night on the Nets during that half season. The next season probably less enjoyable, but I do think that like if he can go back to that, and if he averages like, between 17 and 20 a game and plays elite defense again, and his 3-point shots falling back to a 40% rate, like he's top. He not top obviously, but like I still agree that is Donovan Mitchell, Anthony Edwards. But I could see him in that tier right below, because it's like you get a 2-way player and he can give you more volume than Derek White can. That would be my thing, is like I trust him more offensively than Derek White. Derek White just won a championship and he just played for the Nets. Like, I know what I'm saying out loud sounds ridiculous. But
so I want to cut in real quick, a little history here. And of course, 2020, 2021, 2022, and then 2023, we didn't do them. But from 2018, his first year, Donovan Mitchell was 8th overall. Then we had him 7th overall in 2019. So look at how far he's come in just a short amount of time and a second team later. Because that was when he was on the Jazz.
Yeah, that was, that's a different issue. We'll talk about Ricky Gobert in future videos. So don't you worry about that one. Dave's eyes got wide because he knows what's coming.
By the way, before you go on, quick history lesson. Who was the lowest rating shooting guard in 2019 for us?
Oh my gosh.
Who do you think was the worst shooting guard?
I don't remember what happened in 2019. That was
I had him as the worst. Dave and Sean did not.
Of course.
Dave had him at 28. No.
So they're back.
28. Dion Waiters.
Can we get a clue?
Oh, Dion Waiters? Syracuse legend.
Dave had Wesley Matthews and Boom Boom Batum below him. He had Nicholas Batum at 30 in 2019.
That has aged like milk. Holy crap.
Sean had
I
Darius
don't know,
Garland.
5 years ago, Nick Batum was not doing great.
His best of his career was 34.
He's also a shooting guard?
Yeah, in our rankings, yeah. No, shooting guard.
Yeah, don't be like the comment section, Dave.
That's some real GM right there. That's some real GM.
Darius
real
Garland was last on Sean's list. But I think that's because he was a...
Well, that's why he's
Oh, wait, he was on the Cubs.
That was Sexland. That was Sexland, I believe.
Yeah, Sexland.
Yeah, I just find it interesting. Maybe I think there's and I don't. This isn't disrespect. I have Mikal Bridges at 7, so it's not like I have him like
no.
15 or anything like that. I just think there's a gap between Derek White and him, and maybe that'll be bridged this year. I think 2 of the guys we can group together here. I was lower on both of them that they ended up in the rankings, but CJ McCollum and Bradley Beal. What do we expect from them? Like, Ricky, what do you think? Like, they're just kind of like Dave said. They're kind of just eating space.
Yeah, I mean, I had Bradley like. Basically, to me, it's the top 4. Like, if I'm going off of tiers, it's the top 4, which is, for me, Ant, Bridges, D. Mitch, Kyrie. Then it's just a bunch of guys. Like, this, there might not even be 3 tiers. There probably will be because the garbage will get pushed to the 3rd tier. But then there's just a huge tier 2 of just guys that fit roles. And... Unfortunately, Bradley Beal and CJ McCollum are at the top of that just because they are the best of what's left outside of that top 4. But, like, I could have had CJ above Bradley. I could have had Bradley above, like, to me, it was just like, these 2 are better than everybody else. But I don't know if there were better shooting guards. Like, if Clay was still a shooting guard like he was back in, like, the late 2010s, I don't know if these guys would be sitting there at 5 and 6 in my rankings.
Yeah, I find it interesting because that's why I asked the Brandon Miller question earlier. Is I think Brandon Miller could get all the way up to 5 or 6 on this list if we were going by our rankings. I think personally, Derek White and Jalen Williams have to be above CJ McCollum or Bradley Beal. I just think they're better basketball players at this time.
I think one of the names I think is, and we mentioned him already, but I'll say it. If he has another great year in that Raptor system, I think RJ could push himself up into possibly top 5 by default.
I'll be interested to see, though, and maybe I'll throw this to you, Dave, is that I think Bradley Beal might have a little bit better of a year because the ball handling responsibility won't solely be on him with the addition of Tyus Jones. I know we had Tyus Jones low. We kind of did talk about how we like him a little bit. Do you think that might help Beal a little bit this year?
Yeah, I mean, if he's on the court, let's start with that. He did have some issues. It'll help him. But then, adding Tyus Jones, who literally, like, not only did they add Tyus Jones, they also added Monty Morris, 2 of the best backup point guards in the NBA. And we expect Tyus to start because he had a lot better last year. Let's be fair. But both those guys should be competent as far as being the primary ball handler running offense. So Bradley Beal, less responsibility there, more responsibility as far as defending up and, continuing to make shots. That's what he does. He was a bucket. He averaged like 30 something a couple of years ago. He's still that guy. It's just the question of how is it going to filter out between him, Booker, and KD, as far as who gets how many shots and how many looks, because genuinely we didn't get to see them together for half the season. So I still think they're working out like what we're expecting for them. They're going to be asking more 3-point shots. The Suns were one of the worst 3-point teams by volume last year. If I remember right, they were, I don't want to say like the worst, but like volume-wise, they're pretty much the dumpster. So I expect to see them try to change that, get KD to take more threes. Book's solid, no issues there. But I think, Beal is going to benefit the most from having an actual point guard on this roster. So excited for that. And is it wrong to say I'm like kind of expecting Chris Paul to maybe end up back on this team by the end of the season?
Oh, gosh, I hope not, to be honest with you.
I don't know. No, because they're like double luxury tax stuff. Never mind, they can't do that anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. But, they can't even buy buyout players. Yeah, they can't even get buyout players. I mean, I don't know. How much did Chris Paul sign for? I don't even know what his contract.
More money than he should have.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, the Spurs had to spend, to be honest with you. It didn't matter.
And then CJ, I think CJ is cool. Like, he's evolved his game. He took way more threes last year than he ever had in his career. He's, running point. not the most successful offense we've ever seen, but the Pelicans also have had other issues going on between like Brandon Ingram's role in the team and Zion Williamson and his weight loss journey. So we'll see what happens when it comes to CJ now playing off ball from DeJounte. I won't say it.
Weight loss journey. Yeah, I agree. Ricky, any thoughts on Siege of Macomb or Bradley Beal?
You already hit him on that.
I just can't wait to. Yeah, I talked first. We'll see what they do, and we'll see if they fall next year.
It's gone now. I'm sorry. The brain after like 4 hours. It's just absolutely.
Desmond Bane's good at basketball, though, guys, right?
No, the last guy that we have not talked about in the top 10 is Desmond Bane. And I know Dave wants to talk about a Grizzly. So, Dave, Desmond Bane?
Yeah. You mentioned like
Jasmine Jane.
Yeah, Jasmine Jane. We got to keep that going still, right, guys?
Jailer James.
Desmond Bane's awesome. Really good shooting guard. Ended up taking on way more load than he should have last year because of all the injuries. Yep.
How is that not worse than what I said? Oh. This is what you guys come for with the fast break, baby. We back. We back.
After 4 hours of recording.
We're back, baby.
Finally. Oh, my God. Desmond Bane, good at basketball. We're going to end our shooting guard rankings on that because I think Dave has reached his. He's got to be in the office in like 8 hours. So we're going to reach the end there. I'm not even going to ask for final thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed the videos. As you can see, I think we're all very happy to be back. Even if some of us were a little bit delirious. Some of us were a bit delirious coming into this recording. But yeah, we really hope you did enjoy. Again, Patreon down below. If you want to see this content live, you want to get some exclusive content, please go down and check out the Patreon page. And also the Discord down below. It's free to join. If you want to yell at us for any of our rankings, if you want to, make fun of Dave for saying that Zion's taking on a load, whatever you want. And also hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that bell so you get notifications whenever we go live or whenever we have a video go live. And I hope everybody has a great day, and we will see you again for our small forward rankings.
As always, we'd like to thank the people that make these videos possible, our patrons whose names are displayed on the screen now. If you would like to become a patron, go ahead and click the Patreon icon in the bottom right. And if you'd like to check out another video from MVP Sports, hit the video in the upper left. As always, thanks for watching.